So you want to get smart about the tech skills that'll really matter by 2030, right?
Yeah,
No fluff, just, the core insights to keep you ahead of the curve.
absolutely.
That's pretty much what we're all about here. Consider this your streamlined guide, your shortcut to understanding the tech skills of tomorrow.
Exactly. And look, we've sifted through a whole mountain of expert predictions, job market forecasts, skills reports, all that stuff.
A lot of reading then.
You bet. To bring you the essential knowledge, our goal, really, it's to pinpoint the skills that are going to be in super high demand.
Okay.
And also to uncover the bigger shifts happening, in the whole world of work. Get ready for some potentially eye-opening stuff.
I'm ready. Okay, so
Yeah.
what's the fundamental force here? What's driving all this change?
Well, it's not just one thing. It's not like individual technologies are just marching forward on their own.
Ah,
What we're really seeing is this powerful synergy where multiple technologies are like converging and boosting each other's impact.
a synergy, like a tech chain reaction.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, a tech chain reaction.
Interesting. So what's the first link in that chain? Where does it start?
Undeniably, I think it's the artificial intelligence revolution, AI.
Right.
And spearheading this, especially since, say, 2022, has been generative AI.
Gen AI.
Gen AI.
Yes, it seems like it's everywhere now.
It really does. And this is the AI that doesn't just analyze data. It actually creates totally new content.
Like what?
Oh, text, images, audio, video, code even. You name it.
It really does feel like a new Gen AI tool pops up like every single day.
Yeah.
What's the real world significance of all this creation though? Is it just hype?
No, not at all. It's rapidly becoming integrated across pretty much all industries.
Examples.
Okay, so think enhancing customer service with these incredibly sophisticated chatbots that sound almost human,
Right.
or speeding up the discovery of new medicines in biotech by analyzing vast data sets. The economic potential is just enormous.
Enormous.
We're talking trillions of dollars potentially added to the global economy
Blank.
annually.
Trillions. Wow.
And get this. It's projected that something like 86% of businesses could fundamentally change how they operate thanks to Gen AI by 2030.
86%. That's staggering. A huge level of transformation.
It really is. Imagine like your average marketing team. Maybe they shift focus from actually making all the content themselves to
Wow.
figuring out the best strategy, guiding the AI, ensuring everything the AI produces aligns perfectly with their brand, voice, and goals.
That makes sense. It changes the role. What about the overall AI market growth? Is it matching this potential?
Oh, definitely. It's on track to hit nearly $1 trillion by 2028.
$1 trillion.
Yeah. And what's particularly noteworthy, I think, is the explosion of data being created by AI itself.
Like AI creating the data it learns from?
Kind of, yeah. By 2026, it's estimated that maybe 60% of the data used to train AI models will actually be AI-generated synthetic data.
Wow. That's up from what?
Just 1% back in 2021.
That's a massive leap. It's like AI is increasingly teaching itself.
In a way, yes. It's a pretty mind-bending thought, isn't it?
It really is. You also mentioned applied AI and industrializing machine learning earlier. How do they fit in?
Ah, right. They're closely related concepts, really. Applied AI is basically putting these machine learning models to work on specific real-world problems.
Like predicting customer churn or something.
Exactly. Or optimizing logistics routes, detecting fraud, practical stuff. Industrializing ML, then, is about making that whole process, building, deploying, managing these AI solutions, much more efficient and scalable.
So streamlining it.
Yeah, making it faster, more reliable, almost like setting up an assembly line, but for AI applications.
Got it. And you mentioned something like agentic AI.
Yeah.
Sounds futuristic.
It is the next frontier, really. We're starting to see the emergence of these agentic AI systems.
Which are?
Basically, truly autonomous AI systems that can pursue goals, make decisions, and take actions without constant human direction.
Whoa. Okay. So AI isn't just this isolated thing. It's acting as a catalyst elsewhere.
Exactly right. It's a massive accelerant and an integrator across the entire tech landscape. It doesn't exist in a vacuum.
How so? Give me some examples.
Sure. So, AI is making robots much smarter, more adaptable.
Right.
It's enabling more immersive, realistic experiences in VR and AR.
Uh-huh.
It's automating significant chunks of code generation, helping software developers.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, it's providing much more sophisticated threat detection and cybersecurity. And it's allowing scientists to analyze incredibly complex data sets in fields like biotech, which was almost impossible before.
It sounds incredibly powerful.
Mhm.
Almost.
Well,
Too powerful. Are there downsides? Risks we should be aware of?
oh, absolutely. We have to be realistic. The rapid spread of AI brings inherent risks.
Yes.
Well, safeguarding personal data, for one. Then there's the potential for unintentional biases to creep into the algorithms, reflecting societal biases.
Right, that's a big concern.
Definitely. There's also the issue of AI sometimes generating false or misleading information. You might have heard the term hallucinations.
Hallucinations, yeah, where it just makes stuff up confidently.
Yeah, precisely. And of course, ensuring the security of these powerful AI models themselves is a huge challenge.
Okay, so that's a lot to manage. How do we navigate these challenges? How do we build trust?
Yeah, that's the critical question. And that's where something called AI trust, risk, and security management, AI Trivus for short, becomes absolutely crucial.
AI Triovus.
Okay. Gartner actually identified this as one of their top strategic technology trends.
So what is it exactly? Like a set of rules?
Think of it more as a framework, a comprehensive approach to ensure AI systems are developed and used responsibly,
Responsibly meaning?
meaning they operate reliably, fairly, that they protect sensitive information, and that they remain secure throughout their entire life cycle, from development to deployment and beyond. It's really all about building confidence and trust in AI.
That makes a lot of sense. You need that guardrail. Okay, so AI is this huge driver. What's the underlying infrastructure? What's enabling a lot of this innovation?
Well, that would definitely be cloud and edge computing.
The foundation.
Pretty much, yeah. They've become the fundamental pillars for today's digital world, and the adoption rates are already incredibly high.
We hear about the cloud constantly, obviously.
Mhm.
But edge computing maybe still feels a bit less mainstream for some people listening. What's the key difference in their roles moving forward?
Good question. So the cloud, offers that massive centralized computing power and data storage capability.
Right, data center somewhere else.
Exactly. And the market just for cloud storage alone is projected to exceed something like $390 billion by 2028. Huge numbers.
Wow.
But what's interesting now is the trend towards multi-cloud and hybrid cloud strategies.
Meaning using more than one cloud provider. We're mixing public and private clouds.
Both, yeah. Organizations do that to gain more flexibility, avoid vendor lock-in, and really optimize where they run specific workloads.
Okay.
And we're also seeing significant growth in serverless computing.
Serverless. Explain that quickly.
Okay, imagine renting a kitchen only when you're actively cooking instead of paying rent for it 24/7, even when it's empty.
Gotcha. Pay for what you use.
Exactly. Serverless is similar for computing power. You only pay for the computation you actually consume, millisecond by millisecond sometimes. This can lead to big cost savings and lets developers deploy applications much faster, more agility.
Makes sense.
Oh.
Okay, so that's cloud. Now, edge computing.
Right, edge. Edge computing is all about bringing the computation and the data processing much closer to where the data is actually generated.
Closer to the source, like on the device itself.
Sometimes, yeah. Or on local servers nearby or embedded systems. The key is proximity.
And why is that important?
It's essential for applications that demand extremely low latency.
Low delay, basically.
Minimal delays in processing, yeah. Think about industrial automation systems that need to react in real time. Literally milliseconds matter.
Okay, or like self-driving cars.
Perfect example. Autonomous vehicles making split-second decisions. Or immersive AR and VR experiences that need to feel absolutely seamless and responsive.
Right, no lag.
Exactly. Edge also helps address data privacy concerns by keeping sensitive information localized closer to home.
Ah, so it doesn't have to travel all the way to a central cloud.
Right. Which can also be important for meeting data sovereignty regulations rules about where data can be stored and processed.
Okay. Is edge computing catching on?
Definitely. There are already over 400 identified practical use cases, and it's expected to see significant double-digit growth in the coming years.
400 use cases.
Wow. Yeah, and we're also seeing the rise of what are called industry cloud platforms.
Industry-specific clouds.
Pretty much. Cloud services and tools specifically tailored to the unique needs of particular sectors, like healthcare, finance, manufacturing, retail.
Okay, but managing all of this, multiple clouds, edge devices, industry platforms, sounds incredibly complex, especially the cost.
It absolutely is. And that complexity is exactly why FinOps Cloud Financial Operations has emerged as such a critical discipline.
FinOps, so finance meets operations for the cloud.
Essentially, yeah. It focuses on maximizing the business value you get from all your cloud and edge spending. It requires really close collaboration between the engineering teams building the stuff, the finance departments paying the bills, and the business stakeholders who need the results.
Breaking down silos.
Totally. Ultimately, you can think of cloud and edge together as evolving into the central nervous system for the digital enterprise.
A digital nervous system. I like that.
Yeah, handling the vast amounts of data coming from AI, from the Internet of Things, from immersive tech, and enabling that real-time responsiveness and scalability businesses need now.
Okay, so we have this powerful AI running on this digital nervous system of cloud and edge. How do we protect it all? All that vital information and infrastructure.
Well, that brings us straight to cybersecurity and digital trust. They're becoming just increasingly paramount, non-negotiable really, as our reliance on digital systems deepens in, well, every aspect of life and business.
Seems like the threats are constantly evolving.
They are, and the spending reflects that. The global cybersecurity market is projected to reach a staggering $345.4 billion by 2026.
Huge market. And the strategies for staying secure must be changing too, right? It's not just about having a basic firewall anymore, surely.
Precisely. You're absolutely right. The focus is shifting significantly. We're moving away from just reacting to cyber threats after they happen.
With the outfires.
Exactly. Towards proactively and continuously managing our exposure to potential risks before they can be exploited.
Interactive, continuous.
Okay.
How?
A key trend here is called Continuous Threat Exposure Management, or CTEM.
CTEM.
Yeah. Instead of doing, say, security assessments once a quarter or once a year.
The old way.
Right. CTEM is an ongoing cyclical process. You're constantly discovering potential vulnerabilities, prioritizing which ones pose the biggest risk, and then remediating them, fixing them to reduce your overall risk exposure in near real time.
Sounds much more dynamic.
It is. Gartner has also highlighted CTEM as a top strategic trend alongside AI TRISM. And speaking of AI TRISM, as we discussed, that framework is also vital for ensuring the security of the AI systems themselves, which is a whole new challenge.
Right, securing the AI. What about the human element in all this? People clicking on bad links, weak passwords. That still happens, right?
So absolutely. The human element remains absolutely critical. A very significant percentage of security breaches can still be traced back to simple human error.
So technology alone isn't the answer.
Definitely not. Cultivating a strong security-conscious culture within organizations is just as crucial as implementing the fanciest technical defenses.
Meaning what? Training.
Comprehensive cybersecurity awareness training for all employees, not just the IT department, making security everyone's responsibility.
Makes sense.
And beyond that, we're also seeing growing efforts to combat the spread of disinformation online, which is a related trust issue. And also efforts to establish more robust and secure digital identity systems so we know who we're interacting with online.
Okay. So the big picture for security is?
The fundamental shift is towards building proactive, continuous resilience. It's about embedding security right into the development process, that's DevSecOps.
DevSecOps, yeah.
And into ongoing operational processes using frameworks like CTEM and AI TRISM. Security isn't an afterthought anymore. It has to be baked in from the start.
Baked in. Got it.
Okay.
Okay, so we've covered AI, cloud and edge, cybersecurity, massive forces shaping the future. What's the next key area we should dig into?
I'd say the accelerating rise of automation, advanced robotics, and what are often called intelligent applications.
Automation, that word makes some people nervous.
Understandably, automation, increasingly powered by AI and machine learning, is projected to transform a really significant portion of current work hours. Some estimates suggest anywhere from 20 to maybe 30%.
20 to 30% of work hours transformed? That's huge.
Yeah.
And we hear a lot about robots potentially replacing human workers in that context. What's the more nuanced picture that's emerging?
Yeah, the robots taking jobs narrative is common, but it's often oversimplified. While some job displacement is certainly a factor we need to consider and plan for,
Right.
the advancements in robotics are leading to more intelligent, more flexible, more adaptable machines.
Yeah.
We're seeing the development of things like polyfunctional robots.
Polyfunctional, meaning they can do multiple different tasks.
Exactly, not just one repetitive action. And we're seeing their increased use not just in manufacturing, but also in logistics. Think automated warehouses, even expanding into areas like drone-based delivery services.
Okay, and intelligent applications, what are those?
Right. So alongside the hardware robotics, software applications themselves are becoming much more sophisticated. Intelligent applications leverage AI and ML to automate complex business processes, personalize user experiences in really granular ways, and generally enhance decision-making capabilities for humans.
So smarter software helping us work better.
Pretty much. And we're even starting to see the very early emergence of a concept called machine customers, sometimes called custobots.
Machine customers, like
Yeah.
AI buying things.
Essentially, yes. AI agents capable of autonomously making purchasing decisions based on preset criteria or learned preferences. Imagine your smart fridge ordering milk when it runs low, but potentially much more complex purchases too.
Wow. Custobots. That's a,
Yeah.
a fascinating and slightly unsettling concept. So
Mm.
with all this automation and even machine customers, are we really heading towards a completely automated workforce? Is that the end game?
Well, while the idea of widespread job replacement is definitely a valid concern and something society needs to grapple with,
Yeah.
the prevailing narrative, or at least the more optimistic one among many experts, emphasizes the concept of human-machine augmentation.
Augmentation, not replacement.
Right. The perspective is that technology will increasingly act as a partner or a tool, freeing humans from the more repetitive, mundane, routine tasks.
Boring stuff.
Exactly, allowing us to focus our time and energy on activities that require higher level human skills, things like creativity, critical thinking, complex problem solving, emotional intelligence, strategy.
Skills machines aren't good at yet.
Precisely, there's this notion gaining traction of humans acting as digital conductors.
Digital conductors.
Yeah, orchestrating and guiding these powerful technological capabilities rather than being replaced by them, using the tech to amplify our own abilities.
That offers a more positive outlook, definitely.
Yeah.
A partnership model. Okay, what about the critical issue of sustainability? How does that fit into all this technological advancement?
Sustainable technology. That's becoming a huge area of focus, and rightly so. It's being driven by several powerful forces converging.
By climate change.
Absolutely. Pressing climate change goals are a major driver, but also the need for greater energy security, especially given recent geopolitical events.
Really?
And also the increasing importance of ESG, environmental, social, and governance considerations for businesses, investors, and consumers.
ESG, yeah. It's everywhere now.
It really is. And we're seeing a substantial investment flowing into areas like the electrification of transportation, electric vehicles, charging infrastructure, and of course, the development and deployment of renewable energy sources like solar and wind.
But sustainability in tech goes beyond just clean energy generation, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's broader than
Oh,
that.
much broader. Absolutely. It encompasses a whole range of areas. Think about advancements in energy storage technologies, batteries, grid-scale storage,
Right.
the development of more sustainable consumer technologies, products designed for longevity and recyclability, creating more energy-efficient computing systems, greener data centers, more efficient ships.
Right. Green computing.
Exactly.
Right.
Technologies for carbon capture and storage, developing solutions for climate change adaptation, how we cope with the changes already happening, and of course, sustainable fuels beyond electricity and the whole EV ecosystem.
It's a very wide field.
It is. And importantly, this green transition is also widely anticipated to be a significant source of new job creation.
Interesting. What kinds of jobs?
Well, the obvious ones like wind turbine technicians and solar panel installers, but also potentially expanding roles in areas like sustainable agriculture, green building, circular economy management.
Okay.
What we're really seeing is a fundamental shift towards integrating sustainability considerations into core business strategy and influencing technological development decisions right across the entire value chain. It's not just a niche concern anymore.
It's becoming mainstream business strategy.
Precisely.
Okay, so those are some of the really big trends that are either here now or definitely on the immediate horizon. What about those more? Let's call them frontier technologies you hinted at, the ones that might be a bit further out, maybe more uncertain.
Right, the frontier tech.
Yeah.
These are areas with potentially transformative, world-changing impact, but where the timelines for widespread mainstream adoption are still less certain, more speculative, perhaps.
Okay, like what?
Well, quantum computing is a big one.
Quantum. Still feels a bit like science fiction trying to become reality.
It kind of does, yeah. But it holds this incredible promise of exceeding the computational capabilities of even the most powerful classical supercomputers we have today, but only for certain types of complex problems.
Specific kinds of problems.
Exactly. Things like discovering new materials, simulating complex molecules for drug development, optimizing huge financial models, breaking certain types of encryption.
Okay. Where could it create value?
The potential value creation is huge across sectors like automotive, chemicals and materials, science, finance, life sciences.
Is money flowing into
Oh,
it?
yeah, there's increasing investment, both public and private, in quantum computing research and development, but
Yeah.
there are still substantial challenges to overcome. Building stable, scalable quantum hardware is incredibly difficult. Developing the actual quantum algorithms to solve useful problems is also really hard.
And finding people who understand it.
Exactly. There's a significant projected talent shortage.
Yeah.
You need people who understand both quantum physics and computer science, which is a rare combination.
A very specialized skill set. Okay, quantum is one frontier. What else?
Another rapidly advancing frontier is bioengineering and bioinformatics.
Biotech related.
Yeah, it sits right at the intersection of biology, computer science, and engineering. Think genomics, personalized medicine, advanced drug discovery, synthetic biology,
Yeah, lots of breakthroughs happening there.
constantly.
Mm.
And the market for these technologies is projected for considerable growth. Key applications include tailoring medical treatments to individual genetic profiles, accelerating R&D for new drugs, discovering biomarkers for disease detection, improving crop yields in agriculture.
And I assume computers are heavily involved.
Massively. These fields are incredibly reliant on sophisticated computational tools, especially AI and machine learning, just to analyze the sheer volume and complexity of biological data being generated.
So, high demand for people who get both biology and data science.
Extremely high demand. People who can bridge that gap, who speak both languages, are like gold dust.
Okay. What else is on the frontier?
Then we have immersive reality technologies.
AR, VR, Mr. Augmented, virtual, mixed reality.
Exactly. Along with the broader concept of spatial computing, the basic aim is to seamlessly blend the digital and physical worlds, changing how we interact with information and each other.
We've been hearing about VR for years, though. Is it finally taking off?
Well, there's significant venture capital investments still pouring into this area.
Hmm.
The potential applications are vast entertainment, gaming, remote collaboration, education and training simulations, virtual design and prototyping, even enhancing surgical procedures.
Seems like a lot of potential. What's the market size looking like?
Projections are still pretty big, but there are hurdles.
Hurdles like?
Hardware cost is still a factor for high-end devices, usability and comfort, avoiding motion sickness, making headsets lighter. Creating compelling user experiences and content is key. And there are definite privacy concerns about tracking user movements and interactions in such detail.
Yeah, the metaverse hype seems to have cooled a bit.
It has, but the underlying technologies continue to develop. Spatial computing is probably the more durable concept.
Okay. Any other emerging areas we should quickly touch on?
Definitely need to mention advanced connectivity.
Like 5G.
5G, yes, and the development already underway for future 6G standards. Also, advancements in Wi-Fi technology like Wi-Fi 6E and Wi-Fi 7, and the deployment of these huge constellations of low Earth orbit LEO satellites like Starlink.
And why is connectivity so crucial?
Because it's the essential enabler for so many of the other trends we've discussed. You need fast, reliable, low-latency connectivity for data-intensive AI applications, for responsive edge computing, for real-time Internet of Things devices sending sensor data, for autonomous vehicles communicating with each other in infrastructure, and for truly seamless immersive experiences.
It's the glue holding it together.
In many ways, yes. And just briefly, other areas seeing exciting developments include space technologies beyond satellites like commercial spaceflight and resource utilization, more advanced robotics going beyond industrial settings into homes and healthcare, brain-computer interfaces.
Whoa.
Yeah, still very early days there. Intelligent packaging that can monitor food freshness or track shipments, and even things like electric vertical takeoff and landing, eVTOL, aircraft, flying taxis, basically.
Flying taxis. Okay, that really is frontier stuff.
It is, but the crucial point to remember about all these frontier technologies is their increasing convergence. They don't develop in isolation.
They influence each other.
Exactly, and they all fundamentally rely on continued progress in those foundational digital technologies we talked about earlier, AI, cloud computing, advanced connectivity. They all build on each other.
That makes sense. It's an ecosystem. Okay, so we painted this picture of profound technological shifts: AI, cloud, edge, cybersecurity, automation, sustainability, frontier tech. How does all of this actually translate into the specific skills people will need? What should individuals be focusing on developing by 2030?
Right. The skills matrix. Well, these huge technological megatrends directly translate into a growing and, importantly, an evolving demand for specialized technical skills.
Growing faster than average jobs.
Definitely. Projections consistently indicate that tech-related occupations will continue to grow at a significantly faster rate than the average for all occupations combined.
Okay, let's get down to specifics then.
Yeah.
What are some of the absolute key technical skill areas people should be looking at?
All right. Well, right at the forefront, no surprise given our discussion, are AI and machine learning skills.
The AI revolution needs AI specialists.
Pretty much. This is a broad category, of course. It includes expertise in things like core machine learning engineering, building and deploying models,
Okay.
natural language processing, or NLP understanding and generating human language, computer vision, enabling machines to see and interpret images and video,
Yeah.
specialized skills in robotics development and application, the rapidly emerging field of prompt engineering.
Prompt engineering for
Yeah.
talking to Gen AI.
Exactly. Crafting effective prompts to get the desired output from models like ChatGPT or Midjourney. It's becoming a real skill. And critically, a deep understanding of AI ethics and governance. How to build and deploy these systems responsibly.
So AI skills are top of the list.
They consistently appear right at the top of the list, detailing the fastest growing and most in-demand technical abilities. No question.
That aligns perfectly with everything we said earlier about AI being a major driver.
Yeah.
Okay, what other technical skills are crucial beyond AI itself?
Well, strong cloud computing proficiency remains absolutely essential. You just can't escape the cloud.
Still foundational.
Totally. And this covers a whole range of critical areas. Things like cloud architecture design, planning how systems run in the cloud,
Okay.
infrastructure management, actually operating and maintaining cloud environments,
Next.
cloud security, implementation, and maintenance, a huge and growing field.
Security again.
Always. Expertise in DevOps and the related field of platform engineering practices, automating software delivery and infrastructure in the cloud.
DevOps, platform engineering.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah. Experience with multi-cloud and hybrid cloud environments, managing complexity across different providers, the ability to develop and deploy serverless applications, leveraging that pay-as-you-go model.
Right, serverless.
Skills in edge computing technologies, designing and managing distributed systems, and even the financial management side, understanding FinOps principles to control cloud costs effectively.
FinOps, right. Is there enough cloud talent out there?
Honestly, no. There continues to be a significant and really persistent shortage of professionals with these critical cloud-related skills. Demand still outstrips supply.
Good area to be in then. Okay, so AML, cloud. And with so much data and infrastructure moving around, cybersecurity expertise is surely still red hot.
Oh, absolutely. Cybersecurity imperatives are driving incredibly strong demand across the board.
What specific skills within cyber?
Lots of specializations, things like threat intelligence analysis, understanding the adversary, security architecture and design, building secure systems from the ground up, incident response and recovery, dealing with breaches when they happen, cloud security engineering, specifically securing those cloud environments we just talked about,
Makes sense.
security for OT operational technology like industrial control systems and Internet of Things devices, which is a huge emerging attack surface.
Right, securing all those connected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Skills in proactive security management using those frameworks like CTEM we mentioned. Expertise in AI security and governance relating back to AI TRASM.
Huh?
A deep understanding of data privacy laws and compliance regulations, GDPR, CCPA, etc. And skills in establishing and maintaining digital trust and identity management systems.
Like a complex field.
It really is. And crucially, as we touched on before, a foundational level of cybersecurity awareness is becoming an increasingly vital skill for absolutely all professionals, regardless of their specific role. Everyone needs to be cyber savvy.
Basic digital hygiene for everyone. Got it. Okay, so we've got AML, cloud, and cybersecurity as core technical pillars. What about the ability to actually work with and make sense of all the data these systems generate?
Yes. Data science and analytics mastery. Absolutely crucial. Data is the fuel.
So what does that involve?
Well, it starts with a strong foundation in data engineering that's building and maintaining the data pipelines, getting the data cleaned and ready for analysis.
The plumbing.
Kind of, yeah. Very important plumbing. Then, the ability to perform actual data analysis and derive meaningful interpretations and insights from the data.
Finding the story in the numbers.
Exactly. Skills in data visualization using charts and graphs to communicate those insights effectively to non-technical audiences. Expertise in data modeling and database management, structuring and storing data efficiently.
Okay.
Familiarity with big data technologies, tools like Hadoop, Spark for handling massive data sets, advanced analytical and predictive modeling techniques, building building models to forecast trends or predict outcomes. And the growing field of decision intelligence, which is really about systematically using data and analytics to improve and automate business decision making.
Decision intelligence. Interesting term. Are data scientists still in demand?
Very much so. The role of data scientist in particular, along with related roles like data analyst and data engineer, is projected to experience continued rapid growth in the coming years.
Okay. And what about the people who actually build and maintain all the software systems that run on the cloud, use the AI, and handle the data? What skills are most important for software developers moving forward?
Right. Next generation software development skills, also in high demand and constantly evolving.
It's key now.
Well, proficiency in full stack development is often valuable, being comfortable working on both the front end, user interface, and back end, server side logic.
Okay.
Expertise in API development and integration connecting different software systems together. A strong understanding of software architecture principles designing robust, scalable, maintainable systems.
Architecture, yeah.
Experience using these new AI-augmented development tools. You mentioned hearing about them.
Yeah. AI helping write code.
Exactly. Some are even calling it vibe coding, where the AI helps generate code based on the developer's high-level intent or description. It's changing how developers work.
Vibe coding.
Ah.
Familiarity with low-code and no-code development platforms is also increasingly useful for rapid application development.
Right, building apps without traditional coding.
Yeah. Strong skills in core programming languages remain essential, of course. Python and R are particularly important right now, especially for AI and data science applications, but others like Java, JavaScript, C# are still very relevant.
Got it.
And finally, adherence to modern software engineering best practices is critical. Things like version control, automated testing, continuous delivery, CI/CD pipelines, and also MLOps.
MLOs, like DevOps for machine learning.
Precisely. Managing the lifecycle of machine learning models in production. Okay, that covers a lot of core areas. You also highlighted some emerging technical specializations earlier. Can you remind us of the key ones to watch for potential future career opportunities?
Sure. So first, those quantum computing skills we talked about.
The physics meets computer science combo.
Exactly. Needs that unique blend, understanding quantum mechanics, developing quantum algorithms, using specific quantum programming frameworks. Very niche, but potentially high impact.
Okay, what else?
Then there's bioinformatics.
Biology plus computer science plus statistics.
Right. Analyzing complex biological data like genomic and proteomic information. Key skills involve things like sequence alignment, biological database management, maybe cheminformatics if you're in drug discovery. Again, bridging disciplines.
Got it. And the third one?
Platform engineering. This one is really interesting and growing fast.
You mentioned it under cloud skills. Tell me more.
So platform engineering is all about enhancing developer productivity and experience within an organization.
Making life easier for developers.
Essentially, yes. By building and managing what are called internal developer platforms, or IDPs, these platforms provide self-service tools and automated workflows for developers to build, test, deploy, and run their applications easily and consistently.
So it standardizes things.
It does. It often involves deep expertise in DevOps principles, containerization technologies like Docker, orchestration tools like Kubernetes, infrastructure as code tools like Terraform.
Lots of cloud-native tech.
Exactly. And a strong focus on improving the overall developer experience, or DX, reducing friction for developers.
Why is this becoming so important?
Because as software systems become more complex, enabling developers to be productive and ship code quickly and reliably becomes a huge competitive advantage. Gartner actually predicts that by 2026, 80% of large software engineering organizations will establish platform engineering teams.
80%, wow.
Yeah, they see it as a crucial enabler. You could almost think of platform engineering as a kind of meta skill because it underpins and enables so many other technical roles and activities within a modern tech organization.
A meta skill. Interesting way to frame it. So it sounds like the overall trend in technical skills is towards deeper specialization, right?
Yeah.
While maybe having a broad understanding is good, real value comes from going deep in specific niches.
Absolutely. That's a very clear trend we're observing across all these technical domains.
Examples.
Well, you don't just have AI specialists anymore. You have natural language processing specialists or computer vision engineers or AI ethics consultants.
Yeah.
In cloud, you don't just have cloud engineers. You have multi-cloud architects or cloud security specialists or FinOps practitioners. In cybersecurity, you have threat intelligence analysts focusing on specific regions or threat actors or OT security experts. In bioinformatics, you have genomic specialists or proteomics data analysts.
So deep niches.
Exactly. The concept of the comb-shaped professional is becoming increasingly relevant.
Comb-shaped.
Yeah, instead of just T-shaped broad knowledge plus one deep specialty, maybe you have broad knowledge plus multiple deep areas of expertise in related niches, like a teeth of a comb. Ah, okay. Comb-shaped. Multiple deep specializations. That makes sense. These professionals would be incredibly valuable.
And highly sought after, yes.
Okay, we spent a good chunk of time rightly focusing on these critical technical skills. AI, cloud, cyber, data, software, platform engineering, the specializations. But what about the other side of the coin? What about those uniquely human abilities that machines, even advanced AI, are still, less adept at replicating? Are they still important?
Still important. I'd argue they're becoming even more critical.
More critical, why?
Because as automation and AI increasingly take over the more routine, predictable, transactional tasks,
Stuff machines are good at.
right, these uniquely human capabilities, our cognitive skills, our soft skills, become the key differentiators. They're what allow us to effectively complement the technology, to navigate the increasing complexity of the modern workplace, and to do the things machines can't.
Okay, so what are some of the absolute key cognitive and soft skills that individuals should be actively prioritizing and developing alongside their technical skills? Well, first and foremost, I'd put analytical and creative thinking right at the top.
Two sides of the thinking coin.
Exactly. You need analytical thinking to logically dissect complex problems, to interpret data effectively, to evaluate information critically, to spot patterns.
Okay, the logical side.
Balance with creative thinking, the ability to generate novel ideas, to explore unconventional solutions, to connect disparate concepts, to think outside the box and foster innovation.
And these are becoming more valuable.
The projected demand for these higher-order cognitive skills is set to increase significantly in the coming years. Machines can calculate, but humans can conceptualize and create in truly novel ways.
That makes perfect sense, especially in a rapidly changing world driven by new tech. What else is essential on the non-technical side?
Well, given the sheer pace of change we've been discussing, adaptability, resilience, and cultivating a genuine lifelong learning mindset are absolutely crucial. Non-negotiable, really.
Adaptability and resilience, coping with change, and bouncing back.
Precisely. The ability to cope with uncertainty, to navigate ambiguity, to bounce back from challenges and setbacks, and to adjust course quickly when needed.
And the lifelong learning piece.
That's about maintaining a continuous curiosity, an intrinsic motivation to explore new knowledge, acquire new skills, and constantly update your understanding. Lifelong learning isn't just a nice-to-have anymore. It's a fundamental necessity for sustained employability and professional relevance in the 21st century.
So, always be learning.
Pretty much. We're even seeing a shift towards what some call a learning-in-the-moment approach.
Learning in the moment.
Yeah, where individuals actively seek out and acquire new knowledge or skills precisely when and where they need it for a specific task or challenge, often using online resources or internal knowledge bases rather than waiting for a formal training course.
More agile learning. Okay. And in a world that's increasingly interconnected, often digitally mediated, what about leadership and teamwork skills? How are they evolving?
Also becoming increasingly vital, but perhaps with new nuances. Leadership, influence, and the ability to collaborate effectively within digital environments are key.
Leading virtual teams, for instance.
Exactly. Guiding teams that might be geographically dispersed, inspiring action through digital channels, building consensus using collaboration tools and platforms effectively, strong teamwork skills, clear communication across diverse teams and digital boundaries. These are essential.
Digital collaboration fluency.
You could call it that, yeah.
Okay. And finally, what about those really uniquely human qualities like empathy, ethical understanding? Where do they fit in?
Hugely important. Emotional intelligence, which includes self-awareness, empathy, active listening, understanding social cues, becomes increasingly valuable as machines handle more of the transactional, less personal interactions. We need humans for the human touch.
The EQ factor.
Definitely. And perhaps even more critically, ethical judgment.
Ethical judgment.
The capacity to critically consider the ethical implications of technological choices. Especially with AI thinking about Fairness, accountability, transparency, data privacy, the potential for bias in algorithms.
Right, the AI trisim stuff again.
Exactly. It requires humans to exercise judgment, to consider the societal impact, to ensure responsible innovation and deployment of these powerful technologies. And this often involves navigating complex, cross-cultural, ethical considerations too.
So it's really clear then. Excelling in the future workforce isn't just about having the hot technical skills. It requires this whole suite of human-centric, cognitive, and soft skills that are actually becoming even more critical as technology advances.
Exactly right. That's the core message. The future workforce needs a well-rounded blend of both technical prowess and these crucial non-technical skills
Blend for what?
to effectively apply knowledge in new contexts, to solve novel and complex problems that don't have easy answers, to drive genuine innovation, to provide effective leadership in dynamic environments, and crucially, to ensure the ethical deployment and use of technology for the benefit of society.
It's the combination that matters.
Precisely. And as we highlighted earlier, perhaps the ultimate meta skill underlying all of this is learning agility.
Learning agility. Remind me.
That combination of inherent curiosity, adaptability, the willingness to unlearn old ways, and the proactive drive for lifelong learning. It's arguably the foundational capability needed to thrive in an era of constant technological disruption.
Learning agility. The meta skill. Got it. Okay, so we've talked about the huge shifts in technology and the resulting blend of technical and human skills required. What does the overall job market landscape actually look like as we head towards 2030, given all this turbulence?
Well, turbulence is a good word. We're anticipating a really substantial amount of labor market churn between now and 2030. Significant movement.
Churn meaning jobs created and jobs lost.
Exactly. On a global scale, various projections indicate that somewhere around 170 million new jobs are expected to be created by 2030.
170 million new jobs. That sounds positive.
It is, but here's the other side. Simultaneously, around 92 million existing roles may be displaced or significantly decline due to factors like automation and evolving business needs.
Okay, so 170 million created, 92 million displaced. That's still a net positive of around 78 million jobs.
Roughly, yes. So there's net job creation overall, which is good news. But that net number hides a huge amount of underlying transformation. It signifies that roughly 22% of current jobs are likely to undergo major change in their core tasks and required skill sets.
Wow. Over a fifth of all jobs significantly transformed. That's a massive degree of change for people to navigate.
It really is. And some analyses, like one from McKinsey, suggest that just in the U.S. alone, generative AI could accelerate automation enough to necessitate around 12 million occupational shifts by 2030, people needing to move into different types of work entirely.
12 million shifts in the U.S. Okay, so what types of jobs are expected to see the fastest growth? Where's the demand really surging?
Okay, if we look at percentage growth, the roles expanding fastest proportionally.
Yeah.
They are heavily concentrated in the technology and data science sectors, as you'd expect from our discussion.
Like the skills we just went
Talked
through.
about. Exactly. Roles like AI and machine learning specialists, big data specialists, fintech engineers, software and application developers, information security analysts, data scientists. Those are seeing explosive percentage growth.
Okay. Any others growing fast by percentage?
Yes. We're also seeing very rapid percentage growth in roles directly associated with the green energy transition.
Ah, the sustainability trend.
Right. Things like renewable energy engineers, solar energy installation and maintenance technicians, specialists in autonomous and electric vehicles, those are booming.
Makes sense. Now, what about sheer numbers? Which jobs are adding the most positions overall, even if the percentage growth isn't the absolute highest?
That's a different picture and important to consider. When we look at the absolute number of new jobs being created, we still see significant increases in many frontline, often lower-wage occupations.
Such as?
Things like certain types of agricultural workers, delivery drivers, and other transport roles driven by e-commerce, construction workers, retail salespersons.
Okay.
We also see large absolute growth in the care economy. Nursing professionals, personal care aides, social workers due to aging populations and increased focus on health, and in education teachers at various levels. Plus, as mentioned, transportation and logistics services supporting e-commerce.
So a mix of high-tech, green tech, and more traditional service care and frontline roles are growing. What about the other side? Which kinds of roles are projected to decline most significantly?
The roles most susceptible to decline, the ones shrinking the fastest, are primarily in clerical, secretarial, and administrative support functions. Basically, tasks that are highly routine, predictable, and readily automatable by current technologies.
Can you give some examples?
Sure. Positions like data entry clerks, traditional secretaries and administrative assistants, whose tasks are being absorbed by software, bookkeeping and payroll clerks, cashiers, ticket clerks, postal service clerks, bank tellers, telephone operators, roles involving routine information processing or transactions.
Okay. Any others declining?
We also anticipate a continued decline in some routine production and factory roles as manufacturing automation technologies become more sophisticated and widely adopted.
Right. Now, we hear so much about a persistent skills gap. Businesses saying they can't find people with the right skills. How significant is this gap projected to be as we move towards 2030, given all these shifts?
The skills gap is unfortunately projected to be very significant, and it continues to be cited by employers worldwide as one of the biggest barriers to their digital transformation efforts and future growth. I think one survey found 63% citing it as the top barrier.
63%. Wow. Can we quantify the gap?
It's hard to get precise numbers, but some projections are quite alarming. One widely cited estimate suggests a potential shortfall of a staggering 85 million unfilled technology-related jobs globally by the year 2030 if current trends continue.
85 million unfilled tech jobs. That's huge. A massive bottleneck.
It really is, and we're observing particularly acute talent shortages already in those specialized high-demand areas we discussed earlier: cloud computing architects and security pros, machine learning engineers, quantum computing researchers, space technology experts, and skilled workers in the rapidly expanding green energy sector like electrification and renewables.
So the demand is there, but the supply of skilled people isn't keeping up. How much change are individual workers facing?
On average, across the workforce, it's estimated that workers can expect approximately 39%, nearly 40% of their core job skills to change or become obsolete by 2030.
Almost 40% of skills needing an update.
Yeah. Which translates into a need for significant upskilling or reskilling initiatives for a huge portion of the global workforce. Estimates suggest around 59%, or nearly 3/5 of all workers worldwide, will require some form of retraining by 2030.
Wow. Over half the workforce needing retraining. That's a monumental task.
So what strategies are companies and individuals actually adopting to try and bridge this enormous skills gap?
Well, employers are, by and large, indicating that they plan to prioritize the upskilling and reskilling of their existing workforce. Something like 85% say they plan to focus on internal training.
Training their current people seems smart.
It often is, yeah. And specifically, around 77% are planning training programs focused on helping their employees work effectively with new AI technologies.
Learning to collaborate with AI.
Exactly. However, it's also worth noting, realistically, that a significant minority of organizations, around 41%, also anticipate potential workforce reductions in roles or areas most heavily impacted by automation, where reskilling might not be feasible or desired. So, a dual strategy. Upskill some, potentially reduce others. What about individuals? What should people be doing proactively?
For individuals, the absolute key is to proactively take ownership of their own skill development and career path. Don't wait to be told.
Be proactive.
Yes. Embrace that mindset of lifelong learning we talked about. Build a solid foundation in core future-proof skills like digital literacy, data literacy, problem solving, critical thinking.
The fundamentals.
Right. Then try to develop deep expertise in one or more specific technical domains that are aligned with future demand and, importantly, aligned with your interests.
Find something you're actually interested in.
Crucial for motivation. And actively cultivate those essential cognitive and soft skills: communication, collaboration, adaptability, creativity, emotional intelligence, and leverage the vast array of learning resources available now.
Like what?
Online courses from platforms like Coursera, edX, Udacity, intensive boot camps for specific tech skills, industry-recognized certifications, mentorship programs, company-provided training. It's about building a personalized learning plan and staying competitive in this constantly evolving job market.
Okay. What about the traditional education system? Schools, universities. What role should they play in preparing the workforce for these future skills demands? Are they adapting fast enough?
That's a huge question. Educational institutions clearly have a critical role to play, but there's a widespread feeling they need to adapt more quickly.
How?
They need to systematically modernize their curricula to integrate these future-focused skills right across the board, not just in computer science programs.
Like digital literacy for everyone.
Exactly. Foundational digital and data literacy for all students. Basic understanding of AI concepts and cybersecurity principles. A much stronger emphasis on developing critical thinking, creative problem solving, and collaborative skills through project-based learning.
Less rote memorization, more application.
Precisely. There also needs to be a greater focus on teaching how to formulate good questions and how to critically evaluate the outputs generated by AI systems rather than just accepting them.
Learning to work with AI tools effectively.
Right. Educational institutions also need to strengthen their partnerships with industry to ensure curricula remain relevant and align with real-world needs.
Keep up with the pace of change.
Yeah, and they need to embrace and validate alternative, more agile learning pathways, recognizing the value of things like coding boot camps, specialized online courses, micro-credentials, and industry certifications alongside traditional degrees. The entire great workforce transition, as some call it, requires massive, coordinated, and crucially accessible upskilling and reskilling initiatives involving everyone, individuals, companies, educators, and governments.
You mentioned accessibility there. It sounds like there's a real potential risk of exacerbating existing societal inequalities if access to all this necessary upskilling and retraining isn't equitable, right?
That's a critically important point and a major concern. The data suggests that lower-wage workers are significantly more likely than higher-wage workers to be in occupations facing disruption and therefore need to change occupations entirely and acquire whole new skill sets.
So the people potentially least equipped to adapt are the ones who need it most.
Often, yes. And certain demographic groups may face greater barriers, financial barriers, time constraints, lack of access to technology or quality training resources. If these upskilling and reskilling opportunities aren't made widely accessible, affordable, and supportive, we could indeed see a dangerous widening of the gap between the haves and have-nots in the future workforce, leading to greater economic disparities, a two-tiered workforce.
That's a sobering thought. And does the sheer speed of change challenge the traditional education models too?
Absolutely. The speed at which critical skills are evolving, some estimates suggest skills have a half-life of only a few years now, presents a huge challenge to traditional, often slower-moving, curriculum-based education models.
Degrees become outdated faster.
Potentially, yes, or at least need constant refreshing. This necessitates the development of a much more dynamic, flexible, and diversified learning ecosystem. We need traditional universities adapting, but also thriving coding boot camps, constantly updating their offerings, online platforms providing targeted just-in-time skills training, companies investing heavily in internal L&D. It requires individuals to become lifelong managers of their own learning journeys, continuously navigating this ecosystem to stay relevant.
Lifelong managers of learning. Okay. So to kind of bring it all together, how would you summarize the key takeaways from this deep dive?
I think the core message is this. We're living through a period of really significant accelerating technological advancement driven largely by AI, cloud, data, and this is fundamentally reshaping the world of work.
Okay.
This reshaping is driving a critical and constantly evolving need for both deep, specialized technical expertise and those essential, uniquely human, cognitive, and soft skills, creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, adaptability. The blend is key. Because of this, the job market is poised for substantial shifts and churn, meaning widespread upskilling, reskilling, and a proactive, lifelong learning approach will be absolutely essential for both individuals and organizations to navigate the changes successfully.
Right. You probably tuned in wanting to get a clear, comprehensive, but also quick understanding of the tech skills landscape for 2030.
Yeah.
Hopefully, this deep dive has given you exactly that, a concise overview of the key trends driving change and the crucial skills, both technical and human, that you should be considering for your own future path.
Absolutely. So maybe here's a final thought for you, the listener, to consider as you go about your day, looking honestly at your own current skills, your current career path.
Yeah.
Which of your existing abilities might become, well, less relevant or less valuable in the coming years?
A tough question.
It can be. And then the follow-up. What's maybe one concrete initial step, even just a small one, that you could realistically take today or this week to begin exploring upskilling in a future-proof area? Something that genuinely sparks your interest? maybe related to AI or data or sustainability or even those crucial soft skills.
What could that step be?
Perhaps it's just spending 30 minutes researching relevant online learning platforms. Maybe it's reading an article or watching a video to delve a bit deeper into one of the specific technologies we discussed today, like platform engineering or edge computing. Just one small step to start building that future-proof skill set.
Food for thought. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.